There was once a man who for some reason had a penis growing on his forehead. He was really worried as to why this is happening to him and decided that he needs to go to a doctor. He enters the hospital and he notices all the nurses looking at him confused. He goes over to the reception and says, "I would need to see a doctor." The receptionist stares at his forehead and cannot focus at all on what the man is saying and says, "Why would you like to see a doctor?" The man points to his forehead and says, "Well, as you can very clearly see, I have a penis growing on my forehead." The receptionist pauses for a while and says, "I see. Well, you can take a seat and the doctor will see you shortly." He takes a seat and waits for about 15 minutes when finally it was his turn to go in, and the doctor asks, "What seems to be the problem?" The man is confused and says, "Well, isn't it quite obvious looking at my forehead?" The doctor says, "Yes. Let's take a closer look at that." The doctor examines him for about 10 minutes and then asks, "Tell me, have you ever been to South America?" The man says, "No, I have never been to South America." The doctor adds, "Well, you should. They have really stunning beaches and beautiful girls there." He then continues, "What about Africa? Have you ever been to Africa?" The man says, "No, haven't been to Africa either." The doctor says, "Well, you should. They have amazing wildlife there." Then he continues and asks, "What about Europe? Ever been there?" The man gets frustrated and asks, "Why are you asking about my travels? Do you think I've caught some disease or what?" The doctor pauses for a while and says, "No, I have no idea why the penis is growing on your forehead, but you should start traveling because once those balls cover your eyes, you won't see a damn thing anymore." An elderly couple, wanting to see the country, were on a leisurely road trip, driving across the United States. The woman was behind the wheel, carefully cruising along at what she thought was a reasonable speed, when she suddenly saw flashing lights in her rearview mirror and realized she was being pulled over by a highway patrol officer. The officer approached the car and, leaning down to speak to the driver, said, "Ma'am, did you know you were speeding?" The woman, who was quite hard of hearing, didn't catch what he said and turned to her husband, sitting in the passenger seat, and asked loudly, "What did he say?" The old man, understanding the situation, yelled back at his wife, "He says you were speeding." The patrolman, trying to maintain order, continued with his duties and said, "Ma'am, may I see your license and registration, please?" The woman, still struggling to hear, turned to her husband again and asked, "What did he say now?" The old man, his voice getting a bit louder, yelled, "He wants to see your license." The woman fumbled in her purse and handed over her driver's license to the officer. As the patrolman inspected the license, he noticed the state it was from and said, "I see here you're from Arkansas. You know, I spent some time down there once and went on a blind date with the most unattractive woman I've ever laid eyes on." The woman, completely missing the officer's comment, turned to her husband and asked, "What did he say?" The old man, a mischievous grin spreading across his face as he realized the perfect opportunity for some marital teasing, yelled back, "He thinks he knows you."